Hey, Mercer, do you want to trade?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, great.
Actually, no, there's tariffs on exports. I just remembered that. No trade.
What? This time on the Mercer and Mogilevsky show.
Beginning in 2015, Donald Trump popularized the idea that we need better trade deals, mostly in the United States, but the concept applied around the world. And then Brexit happened. People were not interested in the total free trade zone in Britain. And eventually, Bernie and Hillary, and now both the Democrat and Republican parties have jumped on board with saying we have to be really careful with free trade deals. So the question is, and actually the question hasn't really been asked as much as it should, is Trump right on trade? People tend to just say, hey, Trump is right on trade. That's the one thing he's got right. He may be an evil, bad man who does crazy things and says stuff and has poor freedom policy, but he's right on trade and he's gonna bring the jobs back. The question is that actually true? Most people don't understand how trade works. We're going to try and explain that and roll through what free trade means.
Yeah, free trade is really interesting because at one point it was recognized across, I think all parties that free trade was the best kind of trade. Am I incorrect in that?
No, at least in the Republicans and Democrats, it's been for like 30 or 40 years. They've been all free trade.
Yeah,
pro-free
and
trade.
now there has been a real push, obviously before that as well. But Donald Trump has really popularized saying fair deals, good deals. I'm a deal maker. I'm gonna get good and fair deals. Is that the best? Is there actual fair? Is a fair deal saying, hey, I'm gonna tax you, I'm gonna put tariffs on exports, so then your goods are more expensive than the goods we're making in our country, just because we like the people working in our country better, you know?
Well, it doesn't actually work. This is a quote that's quoted in Economics in One Lesson Good book from Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations. It says, in every country it is always and must be the interest of the great body of the people to buy whatever they want of those who sell it cheapest. It's always in people's best interest to be able to buy the cheapest product out on the market. And what also happens let's talk about China for a second. China's the boogie. China and Mexico are the boogeyman in trade right now.
China. 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 China.
Mexico. So what happens is when I buy something from China, I take a Canadian dollar and you say take US dollars, and I pay someone in China for whatever they have. I want the thing that they're selling me for that price. And what happens is now the person in China has a Canadian dollar, and what they have to do is actually buy something from Canada. Mm-hmm. The dollars are not actual dollars that are getting sucked out. It's trade. So the dollars represent value. It would be no different if I had some wheat and the guy in China had some pottery and we traded. That's not jobs getting taken away from Canada. The same thing happens with money. There may be a temporary lag in that where China now saves up money, but eventually they got to buy something from Canada or the US. And when you put up tariffs, you stop that, you slow that down, and it doesn't help anybody because people have to pay more for stuff.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because free trade is common sense. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, common sense is the best political policy.
Often.
So often, because honestly, whoever makes the product the best should have the ability to trade that in a manner in which we can all do what we're best at. Take supply management in Canada, for instance. The farmers, right? You're a farmer, okay? Yep. They're making cheese, okay? They're making cheese, and this cheese is delicious cheese. The problem is it's more expensive than the cheese imported from other places because they can make it better and it's easier and it's less costly. When it gets imported here, they put so many tariffs on that cheese that now it's more expensive for Canadians to buy cheese, and it's ridiculous. There's a cheese cartel, as Maxime Bernier said.
Well, it's actually the cheese cartel is gonna fall somewhat no matter what happens in the elections because of the Canada EU free trade deal. They are going to reduce imports on cheese and milk products significantly, which means you'll be able to decide now, instead of having to buy
our cheese, free our cheese.
Instead of having to buy either an expensive Canadian cheese or a really expensive French cheese, you'll be able to buy a cheap French cheese and an expensive Canadian cheese or a Belgian cheese or a Swiss cheese, whatever kind of cheese you want. So back to Trump and not the cheese, but the politics that are shaped up in the U.S. They see jobs being lost, and it's actually true. When you have free trade, jobs can be lost, but it's not absolute jobs. It's jobs in certain sectors of the economy.
Yeah.
It is in manually manufacturing, where in China and Mexico they can manufacture stuff for cheaper. And so if you put a tariff on, let's say, cars being imported to a country, car manufacturers in that country can make more money and hire more people. But that what also happens is regular consumers in that country now have to start paying more money for cars. So they can't spend as much money on, let's say, cheese or restaurants or amusement parks. And so you lose jobs in a bunch of other areas because they spent more money on a car and kept jobs. So nothing actually changes. It's just the optics. So Trump, when he talks about saving jobs, he's actually talking about saving the illusion of certain jobs.
Yeah, that is
He's
so
not
true.
going to actually change jobs. He's going to make the illusion of protecting jobs in a certain area. And that's very popular. People love it. I've heard unions say that, well, Donald Trump's wrong about absolutely everything except trade. He's there to protect our people. And that's one of the reasons he won the election.
Well, everyone loves to hear that, oh, Trump brought back 50,000 jobs. Wow, that's unbelievable. And everyone's cheering. But what's not seen is the underlying fact that you're actually not being as efficient as you could be. And these people that are getting temporary jobs in a dying, in a market that's not going to be helpful for them in the future. These aren't sustainable jobs because technology is advancing so fast.
And really, if Canada starts only buying cars from Mexico for cheaper, and the United States buys cars from Americans for more expensive money, now all of a sudden Canada has a car plus some money left over to spend on something. In the United States, they only have a car. So who's going to grow? Whose economy is going to grow faster? Canada's. We're going to be more business conducive. It's going to be cheaper to get things done. So be careful when you're out, when the campaign's on or whatever, and people are saying, well, Trump's stopping trade, bad trade deals as he calls them, and Bernie was on this bandwagon too. Hillary moved on over. Republicans are all in there too now. Don't fall into the trap of believing that actually saves jobs and grows the economy. It doesn't.
Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Trump is right on trade, or do you agree with us here? Love to know. Thanks for watching.
Making the
I
best
have a
cheese.
dream that people can live in a world where everyone can have the cheese they desire. I have a dream that one day we can live in a world where no cheese is thought of to be greater or lesser than the other cheese. All cheeses are created equal. That's all I have to say.